What's up, guys? This is RPJ Motorsports, Tim here speaking. We are actually doing the cold air intake on the 2006 MX-5 Miata, as known Raven. And so far what we've done to this, not on camera, it's before we started filming, we've had the ISR muffler delete with a little bit modified mid-pipe, stock mid-pipe still. We have drilled and slotted rotors all the way around with silver grade friction stop pads. We have new clutch master, the upgraded clutch line, which known failure of these cars is a blowout in the clutch line. Also with the brake lanes, need to be going braided here soon. We have a Mosto aluminum coolant tank, mostly due to the stock one breaks right here. It looks like this one's been repaired before from the last owner. They usually break right at the neck. This I got off Goodwin Racing. You can get it on multiple other sites like Fab 9 and all of them. So today we are doing the ECU cover, which you need to do due to that when you are putting the cold air intake on, the ECU is right underneath the air box. The air box is the ECU cover from factory. So we're having to replace it with this. This is quite simple, one bolt. Now, let me put down the old expansion tank. So what we're going to be doing is a full tear down and putting a cold air intake. So to do this, we have to take the front bumper off. Now you don't have to jack it up. Well, you do have to jack it up, but you don't have to take the front wheels off. You can turn them. Just, it's a little easier taking the front bumper off when you have the wheels removed due to 3 bolts on each side underneath here in the wheel wells. So all you're going to need is a 10 mil for these upper bolts. You're going to need a panel popper for this panel right here, and then there's bolts in there and a bolt over here. They are 8 mils on the bottom for the under tray. You're going to need the panel popper for right here, and you're going to need a 10 mil for the inside bolts on the wheel well that we will be showing you in the later clip. Now, what we're going to recommend here is we're going to recommend that you painter's tape or body tape this corner, so when you're kind of pulling it off and putting it back on, you don't really have a chance of hitting any of the paint, putting a ding in it, or just messing up your day completely and your view on your clean car. It's clean, but it's dirty. It's all factory. I'm the second owner, so I've known this car for more miles than the last owner has. So what you'll see today in the video is the ECU cover, the bumper taking off and being put back on, and the cold air intake being put on. Also the disassembly of the stock airbox and all the tubing that is needed with that. So we're getting a before and after. Be careful when you're getting into a car when it just has 2 jack stands on it. You're going to be very gentle, especially with the startup. Make sure you have your e-brake on at all times on a jack. So that was with the stock air intake. It should bring out the pops and the bangs a little bit more, and should have it flowing much better. You're going to hear a lot more like pulling sound from the engine bay. It's really going to add with the breathing of the exhaust, allowing more oxygen to be pulled in, therefore letting the rest of the fluid burn throughout the exhaust, making the pops and bangs even louder. It will help once the tune's being put on it as well. And definitely when we get the header for it. So we're gonna get to the top first. Those are the 10 mils. So see when I'm taking them off. And so this is the main corner that well, you're gonna have to do this on both ends. So you're gonna need to take out these two clips. It's looking like we're gonna need a Phillips head screwdriver for these ones. Now, they may not always be the Phillips head screwdrivers for these sides, so keep that in mind. Someone may have been already underneath here and changed them out on your vehicle. Gladly, mine isn't. I'm the second owner, and the first owner was old. So, grandpa car. So all we're gonna have to do is grab one Phillips head screwdriver, one more of a pointier tip. These always require the tip to be more of a point. So yeah, pop those out. They pop out pretty easily. We may replace these on the way back out. You're gonna need to take every single one from here just to pull it forward. And this one right up here.
Those are coming out a lot easier than the Jeep did.
Yeah, because it's Mazda.
Get one more.
Two more. Now they may break. They're just gonna go back together. Now if you were doing this with your wheels on, you'd want to turn your wheel or not. So yeah. Before you do this, you're gonna want to take the bottom skid loose and everything so you can move this around. There's more on the bottom just so you can pull it apart. So I'm gonna get to doing the bottom skid. It's just 8 mils, literally laying the bottom outer of the bumper, holding on the bottom plate. I'm not gonna be able to really film that part all that well, but we will show it to you, just show you the bolts. I'm gonna be taking them off camera just to make it easier on us. So get back to you on that. But remember, fair learning, bottom needs to come off first. So what's up, guys? I'm on the ground. So here's these 8 bolts I was telling you about before. You know, it just all lines up to there. These 8 mil bolts are all that needs to come out the bottom, and that's it. They align pretty much the whole front bumper, and that's it. So I will be getting back to you once when they're all out. So what we ended up having to do, you don't have to if you finagle it and want to work around things. We're doing this so y'all can see it, and that's it. So since y'all can see all this now, what we're looking for is that bolt right there. You're gonna want to take all that off, and we're looking at this bolt, and then that bolt. And then there's another bolt all the way back there that you get undone. So there's 3 bolts on each side that you have to undo. It's easier to do it with electric ratchet if you can get one up in there. I don't think we will, but they should be a 10 mil. We'll correct ourselves once we're back if it's not. Okay, so we got both sides done. We got the 3 bolts on each side off.
10 mil.
They were both 10 mils. I stand corrected for my last clip. So now see these 2 little panel pieces, where these came from, it's right here. You're either gonna have to use panel clip, or you can use a little screwdriver. Tape it off. I had to use both for one side. I just had to go in there with this, and it helped with that. So all it is a 10 mil right in here. You can take those. Zip them off. Zip them off. So that's all front of the bumper. The next thing is actually this top one. So we can
See how?
yeah, see how it's loose and everything. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take off all these center bolts first. Don't touch these ones. These are headlights. These bolts right here, headlights. Don't touch. So, sorry about the interruption. We had one of our neighbors come by needing a tool. So do not touch this bolt and that panel clip. That's your adjustment for the front headlights to go onto the front cross member. So don't touch those, but all of these are fair game. So let's get those off real quick. Alright, so now we have all these off. We're going to have both of us, me and Dad, pull this off from each side. Due to, we don't want to really bend it up too much. It can crack the paint if you just let it twist. So, we want to have an even platform. Make sure you have a piece of cardboard laying down on the floor or towels to have insurance on the bumper. So, it doesn't get scratched up or anything. Same for as the tape, that's so your paint doesn't get scratched. That's all we need. So, while we get you set down, we're going to get this bumper off. So now that we have the bumper off and everything, what we're looking at is pretty much the whole front end of this vehicle, the cross member, all the ducting. What we're going to be taking out is this and this inner shield right here. So then the tube of the new cold air sits down here where the air filter sits. It's a little difficult to be changing, but it's where the coldest air on this vehicle can be brought from. So that's why most people design it that way.
On top of it, if you look, you have this two terminates right here. Okay, there's not a lot of space for any air to flow anywhere around it.
Yeah.
And if you look at what the front of the car is, that termination is
right behind the emblem.
Yeah, pretty much right behind the emblem. So your cold air, your air is actually coming through the grate in the front to go across the radiator and everything else that's down there on an angle.
Yeah, which is great for a turbo setup that we most likely will be doing in the future.
Plenty of room for
nice big intercooler.
Yeah, nice big intercooler.
There's plenty of room over here for a nice big turbo. So this car is pretty much designed from factory to be able to strap whatever you want on these. Mazda really thought about the car community when they were designing this car for very good reasons. Mostly because they noticed that the original Miatas, they were always modified to the T. Most of them got turbos strapped onto them. So this newer one, 2006, not super new like the MDs, but this is the one that has been neglected the most through the aftermarket community. So I love it. I want to keep growing with it. So this is the steps that we have to do to grow with the vehicle.
Plus, one of the things is that there's not a lot of support yet. There's not a lot of aftermarket kits.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of anything. So a lot of the stuff that we're going to have to do.
There's not a lot of videos on this.
Right. So we are going to be producing a lot of videos on this. So if you have an NC, you want to do, send us a message. Ask us, hey, can you do this? We will find a way to do it.
Yeah.
Find out how it needs to be done, and we will bring it to you as quickly as possible.
Like, there's a lot of problems that people are just finding out because of forums and not knowing how to do them. Like, there's one issue inside the transmission bell housing where a pin will drop and you have no clutch control at all. So videos like that, when we do get to that stuff, I do have a clutch in mind to put in here, but at the same time we'll be going through all those, changing anything that is a common failure point to happen and making sure it never happens.
Yeah. We're also going to try to develop certain things for these cars that you just can't find anywhere. You know, there's, you know,
there's very few header manifolds for them. There's very few battery locations. There's a lot of stuff that is not on these vehicles, like the older ones, that need to be. There's, like, the thermostat control box is in the back like the original Miatas. If you know anything about those, since these are front-wheel drive engine-based vehicles that are not front-wheel drive, their cooling system pulls all the way to the back of the engine. Yes, it helps, but it doesn't. It neglects it more than it helps it. So that's everything in the future. I plan on learning how to do custom LED headlights and taillights. I have a kit coming for the taillights, and we're planning on doing the dash cluster kit. They don't make those. I want to figure out how to do them like the older Miatas. I want to be able to bring this Miata into the kind of how the older Miatas are built. Bring the aftermarket support to them and bring everyone around them, because they're now starting to be bought out. They're finally being passed on to the younger generation and everything, which means, guess what? Modding them. The younger generation always does. These are still stuck in the older hands. So we'll get into putting the cold air intake on the next video. This video is just taking off the front bumper and everything. Next video, it's going to be the same day. Sorry, I gotta cut it into multiple videos. It's long enough just having the front bumper in one. The cold air intake's a little bit more in depth. We will be putting the front bumper back on in the cold air intake video and showing you the drive and everything. Got the preview of the noise in this video. We'll also put that clip in that video, so you guys don't have to watch it if you don't want to hear. Well, I would like you to watch it. So we'll get to the next video. We'll see you then, and have a nice day, guys.
Yep, don't forget to like and subscribe. On top of, if you have any questions about these, Tim has done a lot of research. He's dug into these a lot. If there's any questions about an NC,
you can either DM us on Instagram, or you can comment and I'll reply to them. I'm usually good on replying to comments, the little that there is right now, but we're working at it still. So that's the wrap for y'all.
Y'all have a good night.